going on, guys? Fizz here. I know I haven't uploaded a video in the past 2 days or so, but there will be like 5 or 6 coming out the next day or two, so keep an eye out for that. Before we get into today's video, I want to say thanks for 400 subs. We passed that. That's very cool. Thank you guys a bunch. Appreciate all the support from you guys. Also, I want to say there is a build diary for the Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder that I'm doing now. That's the next build. I'm going to do 1 episode of that, but it's going to be variable whether or not that gets completed now or after Gauntlet, because I'm going to be spending a lot of time practicing for Gauntlet, which, funnily enough, is what this video is about. So let's go ahead and get into it. So basically, Gauntlet changes. There were changes with points and changes with mods. So let me zoom in here. So for new mods, unique monsters have 80% increased life and GMP. Before we get into my thoughts on that, I want to cover the mods that are gone. So they took out the Fizz as extra, which is cool. It is definitely a buff. So taking out the Ellie conversion changes some aspects of the Gauntlet. I'll go over that first. The scaling with Fizz conversion is like super crazy for some parts of the game, especially once you get towards higher end content. And it is 100% a like massive buff to armor, that they're taking out a lot of the elemental damage. So in terms of like the build that I'm playing, which is going to be Zerker, Earthshatter, it's actually a big buff for that. However, I am a little bit scared for my build going into this Gauntlet. I would have preferred to play Rage Vortex and Gauntlet, but I'm sure everyone knows by now the issue with Fortify. Strike skills, most melee skills can't actually consistently get Fortify stacks in a lot of content. So that kind of like basically means that if you're not slamming or playing a champ, you just don't have Fortify. So we will be playing Earthshatter Zerker. In terms of the new mods, the unique monsters having, basically bosses will have double life in Gauntlet, which is going to be really interesting. I do have concerns though. Basically, it feels like they spent so much time trying to shut down champions that they forgot who the real villain of Gauntlet was. And the true villain of Gauntlet is Sab, okay? If you are remotely familiar with the PoE racing scene, Karn is currently practicing Sab. That should say a lot, okay? Yeah, I don't know. A lot of these changes actually heavily favor Sab, in my opinion. Bosses having way more life means Sab is way better. I do want to get something out of the way at the very beginning here, or towards the beginning, is that do not get baited into playing Toxic Rain. I feel like a lot of people are gonna get like noob trapped into playing Toxic Rain because it's popular on the ladder. However, Toxic Rain requires a lot of gear, and to get that gear, even though it is fairly deterministic crafting, you require a ton of Exalted Orbs to get it. It just doesn't seem super realistic to get that in the short span of Gauntlet. Some people will play it and some people may find success with it, but as a whole, I do not think Toxic Rain is a super good choice for this Gauntlet, especially now that we see the massive life increase on bosses. It is worth noting here that Toxic Rain doesn't necessarily struggle with damage. It's just you don't get access to that good damage until you've really crafted some good gear for your character, and that's going to be really hard to get in a Gauntlet environment very quickly. So you will see a lot more people playing Sab. Sab has basically everything TR Champ does except Fortify. Like Sabs are going to be running Determination and Grace and all that stuff, the hybrid, max spell suppression, everything. They also get blind. So something I want to kind of go over here is that GMP, if you know me or you've been following me for any amount of time or you've tuned into any of my streams, you know that I hate LMP. I think LMP is the opposite of interactive gameplay when it comes to Gauntlet. I think it's a terrible mod. It basically just, it boils down to two things. You will randomly die for no reason and feel completely cheated. And also, you will do, like, a lot of maps you just have to brick. It's not like interactive gameplay. It's like, I go into this map, it has a certain mob type that is completely overtuned. If it has GMP or LMP on it, I leave the map and I don't run that map. However, I will say, them taking out the LE conversion, the Fizz's LE conversion damage modifiers, they had it for cold, lightning, and fire. That should make the game a lot more noob friendly. And when I say, I mean casual friendly. It should make Gauntlet a lot more accessible to people who are not used to hardcore or Gauntlet. People who have not played this game mode before should have a immensely easier time actually getting through a lot of the early acts. There will still probably be some parts that are going to be dangerous. Like Merveil, if you don't know, once she goes into her second phase, if you're not in melee range, she will shoot a projectile at you. With GMP, that will probably straight one-shot you if you get hit by that. Also, Weaver. Weaver and Merveil were really good with the, like, Fizz's extra, especially since they took out the minus resistances as well. We'll kind of have to see in practice how this really boils down. This should just be a buff for Axe across the board, honestly, because getting extra projectiles is going to make you take some damage, but at the same time, you're not starting the Gauntlet with minus 40 or minus 20 max res, or excuse me, resistances, and then also having to deal with 30% extra cold, a fire, and lightning as Fizz, right? Like, those being out and them just putting in GMP should make leveling through the Axe just easier. Like, should just be way easier. I can't see on paper how this would make it any harder. It should be much, 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 much easier to get through the Axe. Where you're really going to feel this, in my opinion, is bosses. I think this is a pretty sizable buff to Shaper. I think Uber Elder and Maven are going to be absolutely insane with GMP. I don't know. I feel like some of this stuff endgame is just going to straight one-shot you. Like Uber Elder with his like icicles is probably just going to like straight one-shot you, because that'll shotgun and 4 proj. Like, he shoots like 3 baseline, right? So I mean, that's that's a lot of projectiles, bro, and they deal a lot of damage. The bosses having double life, it's not that bad for Cirrus. It's going to make Maven a lot harder, like way harder. In addition to having like GMP, and then on top of that, you're going to be going through way more memory phases. You know, stuff like that is going to be ridiculous. Maven's going to be insanely hard this league. Because, you know, you can't just cheese Maven anymore. If you log out a memory phase, when you come back in, you're gonna have to do a memory phase. And if it takes too long, it's like sometimes the memory phases like queue up now. So sometimes you can get like 2 or 3 memory phases in a row if you have to like log out or, you know, something of that sort. So that could make Maven really hard. Beyond that, other bosses, Zeri is going to be scary, especially for builds that don't have a lot of Fizz mitigation. I don't expect a lot of people that are going to get to Zeri to not have mitigation, because a lot of people, I would imagine basically everyone is going to fit determination in their build with Molten Shell. But she is still going to be super scary. It's, again, the massive AoE. Sab is hugely buffed by the current Gauntlet mods now. With the bosses having so much more HP, Sab's whole thing is like insane damage. And this patch, okay, so like, let's rewind. Last Gauntlet, Sab was like a high risk, high reward playstyle, right? You didn't need any gear to get going. It had insane damage to do all content. The downside was that, like, if you got hit, you would die, right? It was squishy. You didn't get hit often on Sab, but if you did get hit, you would probably die, right? Moving into 3.16, the strengths of Sab got stronger, and the weaknesses of Sabs were arguably completely removed. Sab is insanely tanky now. If I've talked about it before, I have a shit post on this channel about Exile just straight tanking 2 Awakener 8 Cirrus Beams back to back with Gauntlet mods. Keep in mind, this is with the Fizz is fire, cold, blah, 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 blah. So, basically, this Gauntlet A8 is going to do even less damage, because multi-proj doesn't do that much for Cirrus, to be honest. So, maybe, you know, a Sab is going to tank 3 or 4 Cirrus Beams in a row now without the extra Fizz conversion, because If you don't know, every Cirrus Beam does have some portion of physical damage to it. You know, he has the Fizz Beam, the Lightning Beam, the whatever. All of them actually have a portion of them dealt as Fizz. So them taking out the Fizz is cold, blah, 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 is actually a pretty big nerf to Awakener's damage. So they did add the Hidden. This is scary. I talked to some people in my Discord, and I may have a strat on how to deal with this on an Earthshatter Berserker, because I think, honestly, with GMP, with Gauntlet mods, I think just normally running in and Earthshattering on the Hidden is a free trip to Standard. Simply because the bosses have so much life now, you cannot realistically, with any build, expect to just instantly kill them. Sab may be the one exception, but even then, double Hidden HP sounds insane. What you're likely going to see people doing is just, you know, kiting around the outside. Like, if you look at my Hidden kill on my VD Slinger from like a few weeks ago on this channel, that's basically how you're going to see most people do it. And I imagine, yeah, like, Necro and Sab are going to have the easiest time with this. Probably. Hidden is definitely, this being added is definitely a hit to Berserker in terms of overall Gauntlet viability. I spent a lot of time staring at this boss kill list, thinking of what I could reasonably do on Earthshatter Zerker. Because I do really want to play Earthshatter Zerker in the Gauntlet. So I think, Delve boss should be pretty simple. Formed should be pretty simple, especially them losing the Ellie conversion. This is a huge nerf to them. Mastermind doesn't really get it massively buffed from the changes. Mastermind should actually be easier than past gauntlets. Awakener should be fine. Zeri obviously should be fine. Elder should be fine. Shaper is going to be a little bit rippier than in the past. GMP with the phase where he throws the balls is probably going to be scary, but not too bad because you don't need a Maven witness the Shaper. So like realistically, it's going to be a little bit of a long fight. The fight's taking essentially twice as long. Just means there's going to be a lot less room for error because you're going to have to play better longer. But Shaper shouldn't be too bad. However, Uber Elder, Uber Zeri, Maven, and the Hidden. Okay, so like, I think 100% Maven and the Hidden go last. Debatably interchangeable with Zeri. Uber Elder is going to be really tough, but I think he's not going to be as bad as the other three. Hidden, I think, is going to be the hardest by far. I mean, you think about like Esh and Toll, their interaction with GMP is going to be insane. Like even like Ulnatol, like all of these bosses have mostly have like good interactions with GMP that are going to make them scary. In addition to them just having so much more life that you won't be able to cheese them, and that's a big deal. So for a melee build going through this is going to be scary. Like I said, I have a tech that I'm going to have to try out and practice and see if it actually works. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to test out Maces and Axes too. Maces should still be fine. Assuming I can get the 30% chill. The bosses should be safer. Axes are 100% going to be more damage for Earthshatter. But you won't be able to use Shockwave. You will have to use melee Fizz support. And using melee Fizz support is a massive less attack speed multiplier. So in the end, I don't know how much faster attack speed wise Axes will be over Maces, but you'll still have the damage edge there. But Maces should get a 20 to 30% chill on all bosses, which should make it equivalent to fighting the normal bosses without chill, or maybe even a little bit better, because it is 20% more move attack cast speed. If you can hit the ailment threshold and have a 30% chill, they'll still be at 90% action speed, which should make a lot of these fights a lot easier. It's just a matter of weighing out the pros and cons. How much faster can the Axes kill it? You know, if the Axes kill it like minutes faster, which I doubt, but if it kills it minutes faster, then Axes are probably better because it's just, you know, like the longer you're in the boss fight, the more room there is for mistakes, etc., etc. But yeah, overall, I don't really like, I don't know. See, I hate the Ellie conversion, but I also hate LMP. the LE conversion being gone is cool. It'll make the base game a lot easier to get into. It'll make the bosses a lot harder, which is cool. I've seen a lot of sentiment shared around like that, like, yeah, the base game shouldn't be as complete bullshit, and the bosses should be the really hard part of Gauntlet. I kind of agree with that. I think you shouldn't just like randomly be dying in yellow maps to like some stupid interaction with LMP and Fizz Convert. Like, it's really lame. It's not cool. Like what we've seen in past Gauntlets is like people just randomly die while mapping, and the people who actually get to the bosses just completely shit stomp the bosses and win, right? Like it should be the opposite, in my opinion. Like the mapping shouldn't be the true difficulty of Gauntlet. It should be the insane bosses. So this is a step in the right direction, but man, GMP is going to feel bad. The one good thing that we have, like I said, is with the Fizz Convert being gone, with the minus resistances being gone, it'll be easier to ease people in, especially to early mapping and stuff. With the massive buffs to armor and evasion, GMP won't be as strong as it was before, or LMP in the past. Yeah, because just monsters having additional projectiles isn't nearly as bad if they're just basically dealing like Fizz or only one element. It gets really like sticky when you put in like a bunch of extra conversions on top of multiple projectiles, but I'm still not a huge fan of it. I saw Rise say that he wishes it was just like the bosses had multi-proj, which would be cool, but we don't know the extent of, you know, how much control they have over this system. Maybe that's something in the future they'll do, where like the bosses or each individual boss could have like separate mods and stuff, but I don't think the technology is really there yet in terms of like tools for this. And maybe as Gauntlet grows and hopefully keeps getting more popular in the future, maybe GGG will help develop tools to make the races more interesting. Because they've done more this time around than they have any time in the past. There's also points for delving and leveling up as usual. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. If you're wondering, after the Gauntlet comes out, I still plan on playing Earthshatter Zerker. My plans, I don't expect Marauder to be a super highly contested ascendancy. That's kind of what I'm hedging my bets on, because I'm gonna be real with you guys, doing all content on Zerker sounds incredibly hard. I think what you're gonna end up seeing is 99% of the people playing Sab, and then a good chunk of people playing Necro. I think that's probably what's going to be the best for this. You'll probably still see a lot of people playing Inquisitor as well. Inquisitor is another one of those classes like Sab, where they were already really good in a lot of areas, and then 3.16 basically just removed the really big weakness of the build, which was Fizz mitigation. So now Inquisitor is like insanely strong with the new life regen mods and stuff. Maybe you do see Inquisitor doing some of this content. It's just the big thing there is like Inquisitor's not going to die. It's going to be ZDPS as hell, and ZDPS as hell with the new life mods means you're going to be looking at like 20-30 minute like boss fights. But if you don't die, then hey, whatever, you get it done, right? I mean, Elementling he placed well last Gauntlet with RF Jug, and you know he wasn't dealing damage on that, so hey, who knows. But yeah, overall I'm excited. I'm gonna start seriously practicing for this today. Do note that I won't be taking part in Endless Delve. On top of the other events, Atlas Invasion may be the only one that I play, if that. Aside from those, I'll probably just be playing the base game and the Final Fantasy expansion. And that's yeah, that's the biggest thing, is I'm going to be spending my PoE time is going to be spent practicing for Gauntlet. Outside of that time, I'm not going to be playing Endless Delve. I don't care about Endless Delve. I don't think it's fun or engaging. I'm going to be playing the expansion instead for Final Fantasy. So that's my plans. You guys let me know what your plans are. I will come out with a video probably a little bit closer to Gauntlet on like actual build recommendations. If you want to start practicing now, Sab is definitely the best. You can do either Spellslinger, VD, DD Necro, or just straight self-cast Detonate Dead Necro. Both are going to be strong in Gauntlet, I think. Again, RF Inquisitor is something you can do. Just keep in mind it's going to be ZDPS, but it should be a really, really strong option if you only want to hit like 95 or hit certain level thresholds to get like the MTX or the you know, like item rewards and stuff. It's just what for like the end game bossing, RF Inquis is probably going to be Pain Champ. That would probably be my top 3 recommendations. Spectral Helix Champ if you want to play something more melee oriented. That'll be super strong. There will probably be people playing that in Gauntlet as well. The base numbers on that are huge. In fact, it's probably going to be like the strongest build for Gauntlet in terms of like melee skills go. I know it's not technically melee, but realistically it is. It's probably like a lot better than Earthshatter Zerker, simply because like if you think about fighting the hidden or something like that, you can just stand in the corner and, you know, spam it, and it'll like, you know, they'll fan out and hit the stuff on the other side of the screen, and you don't have to put yourself in the way of harm too much. So Champion's probably going to be the best if you want to go for something melee oriented, but Zerker should still be strong, especially like if you don't plan on doing like Uber Zeri and Uber Elder and Gauntlet. Earthshatter Zerker is going to be really strong, and you shouldn't have too much problems with like mapping and stuff either. Call of Steel overlap can 100% carry bad weapons, so don't worry about that. If you want to play Earthshatter Zerker, don't like let any of the things I'm saying here dissuade you. It'll still be really, really good. It's just in terms of doing all of the boss kill points, I'm a little bit scared of playing it, but I'm going to be doing it regardless. I will report back before Gauntlet, let you guys know how the practice runs go. And how Pain Champ it is or is not, as well as the final determination, I don't know, wrong word to use, but the final decision I make regarding maces or axes. Anywho, this video's ran way too long. Let me know what you guys think of Gauntlet. Are you gonna be playing? Are you excited? You know, let me know. Overall, it's okay. Happy about some things, disappointed with other things, but as always, Gauntlet should be fun. There's no way it's going to be as bad as last Gauntlet. I hated last Gauntlet. I was not a happy slammy boy last Gauntlet. But anywho, looking forward to it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.